Hi, this is the Self-Publishing Roundtable, our weekly roundup, where we discuss the roundup of indie publishing news and stuff that's happened over the past week, and ask questions and get a little bit silly and hopefully stay on topic. My name is Erica Conroy, and I'm joined today by Xavier Granville.
Hello.
And by Chrishaun Keller.
Hello, everyone.
Right, well, we only have 3 topics to discuss today, but we figured we could probably fill our whole half hour on them since they're so freaking huge.
There's no meeting. We could do an episode on each.
Yeah, basically. If anyone is not familiar with us or you want to check out our website, we are on the selfpublishingroundtable.com. And if you would like the audio only for this, as well as the links for all the news items, they will be published tomorrow at 12 noon EST time, which is 6 in the frickin' morning for me, but hooray for auto post. Yes. Okay. Shall we get down to business?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so first off, we're going to start off with author earnings. It's been 2 years since author earnings started, and it's an endeavor that was designed to provide meaningful data on income that was gleaned from Amazon's raw data so that authors could make decisions based on what to do with their manuscripts. And the 8th edition of this information was just released recently, and the pie charts are really pretty.
Yes,
the big 5 publishers are now providing less than a quarter of the dollars earned by creatives for their ebook sales, and indies are taking close to half. And since this which is really fucking awesome, but since its inception, author earnings has been criticized, and now so more than ever, considering how the line on that pretty little graph has turned in indies' favor. And probably also because they have recently changed how they calculate this information, so it's become quite controversial. What do you have to say on this, Chrishaun? What's your thoughts?
Whenever you're doing well or considered an expert or considered the lead, you get upset when the young upstarts come on and steal your thunder, right? And if you go to any of the conventions like I went to ArmadilloCon, and there were actually discussions where traditionally published authors wanted to say, well, it's skewed to favor indie authors because you always a famous indie author and he wants to justify. But what people are failing to understand, at least those who want to say it's skewed, is that this is not information they're pulling out of nowhere. They're literally skimming this information off of Amazon. Amazon is showing the hard numbers and saying that independent authors are making more money, but they're also producing more. Their turnaround is much higher. The writers have more satisfaction in what they're doing. And people, because they're putting together mailing lists, putting together high quality products, pricing it better, because you notice that those were not 99-cent books we were talking about. We were talking about somewhere between $2.99 and $5.99. And they've been doing this, and independent authors have been doing this consistently, right? They are going to show that they're going to have more sales. So they're going to show that they are going to be at the top of this because they're changing their methods in order to make sure they're seen, making sure they're sold, making sure folks follow up with their readers and engage them, which are things traditional publishers do not do. And many authors, especially when you talk to them at conventions, think, oh, that's what my publisher does for me. Right? I guarantee you, if they did the same things that indie publishers do, the numbers for traditional will rise. Guarantee you.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add to that one, X, or do you have a different opinion even? Oh, be controversial.
I'm going to give it to you, X. Going to give it to you. Going to give it to you. No.
I love that song. No, I totally agree. I think if no matter what, I think what's important to a publisher should be the writer and the reader. You know, those are the two things that they should be focusing on.
Is it?
in the end, yes, because if you're going to be, essentially you're buying into someone's product, and you should be, if you go into an art gallery and you buy a painting, you're not going to question that guy's validity afterwards. No, it looked good to you at the time, and I think what we're seeing right now is that the more control and ability to present a product or your art as professional as possible, we're seeing that where once you do establish that it looks like a professional product, you are going to be on the same playing ground as those who are also professional, and I think that's a wonderful thing. What's difficult is that both the indies have to compete to look professional, and then now it's the professionals have to start competing with these indies that suddenly actually know how to publish a darn book. Oh, darn! What are we gonna do? But at the same time, I think when it comes down to these the earnings or statistics of figuring like where is the money going, who is making the money, blah blah blah, these things are best done by a third party system. And to me, I think the author earnings, even though it's Hugh Howey kind of saying, well, I'm a part of this, but it's data guy or whatever, this alias person, he's crunching the numbers. But I think even that's a little too close to home, because in the same sense that I don't, the inherent bias of, if you heard what self-published authors and traditional publishers are making from the New York Times, that would have its own inherent bias as well. So I'm waiting on in the same sense of when a company does an audit, it's going to be someone like a third-party company that has nothing to do with that, has no discrepancies of showing favor or negative reactions.
No dog
in
that
kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Every company is meant to audit, and Amazon actually does have an auditor. It's Ernst & Young.
The folks who do the Emmys and the Oscars.
Interesting stuff. Well, I think it would be interesting, though, if we could audit the publishers, because, that's something that individual authors have an opportunity to do, but it's usually written into their traditional contracts that there's some kind of negative, or sometimes the publisher says, yes, you can audit us with your little accountant auditor or whatever, but we want them to sign a non-disclosure agreement or something like that, and that goes against what the accountant wants. So effectively, they're not really being audited. Yeah. So I think the big publishers need to put their money where their mouths are and actually be as transparent. If they're going, okay, yes, well, this offer earning stuff is wrong. It's very, very wrong. It's like, well, yeah, how is it wrong? We know that publishers, big publishers, are selling less ebooks because they've put their prices up, and Hachette has even announced that their ebook sales are down by quite a large percent. So, why do you think critics who have an issue with the author earnings results in the first place? Porter Anderson has brought it up. We will be linking to his article as well.
Right, because they want to show that the traditional published empire is the standard. It absolutely is, and has been since the time of Dickens, honestly. Because before then, you could still self-publish or publish in a serial form in magazines and newspapers. But there's order in that. They don't have to question it. You go, you submit, you know what you have to do, and the machine runs smoothly. As soon as there's disruption in it, and they are seeing folks who didn't pay their dues, so to speak, even though we actually pay our dues in a different way, they feel people are benefiting and encouraging others to benefit with them. They want to shut it down because that makes what they're doing less important. Can I say less important?
Yeah.
Or maybe, what's a better way to say that? It makes what they do seem archaic.
Well, it kind of is.
Well, it is. Makes it feel like what they're doing is they're wasting a lot of time going this long path when there is I don't want to say quicker, easier way, because Lord help me, it is not. But there is a more direct way to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I like that you brought up transparency as well. Like with indies, we always can hear both success stories and flop stories. You know, like all of the cards might have been laid out correctly, and you submitted your book at the right time, and you had the ARC readers already backed up. You already had a bunch of promotions already ready for this. In prep of the fact that you're going to be having all these reviews from these ARC readers. You could have all those things set in line, and then it just bombs no matter what. You're not going to hear that from any of the big five publishers, whereas that is a real reality of the spine out author at the Barnes and Nobles or Chapters or Indigo, whatever store that you're going into. That author that is not Nora Roberts or any of the bigger names and stuff like that, you're not going to hear about them getting published and then not selling any books. You're only going to hear the stories about someone getting published and selling books.
Mm-hmm. You're only going to hear.
You never hear about their mistakes. The publishing companies.
You're going to see the book deals, and you're going to see the big splashy ads. You're not going to see the hard work.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're going to see J.K. Rowling's face because, well, that's she sold a lot of books. So that's the angle of which a publisher will take on that. Once they know that they have something, like once the golden goose starts laying its eggs, then they give a shit about you.
But we as authors, independent authors, give a shit from the beginning. If we don't, we fail.
And we can have that faster turnaround time so long as we can find the people we need to help support us. Like you said, the ARC readers are a huge, huge help. And also an editor, a competent editor. They don't have to be an expensive one, and maybe a cover designer. But, I mean, how can this not be replicated on a larger scale if you just throw more people in and, at it? If it's their full-time job to be an ARC reader or to be an editor or to be a cover designer, shouldn't the publishers, have a stable of each of them?
Well, they do, but the thing is that they're always
Why does it take so long?
It takes so long because they're trying to schedule it out. Think of it this way. What a lot of advice for indie authors is to have 3 ready and set them out in regular intervals. Mm-hmm. That's what the traditional publisher is doing, but they have many different authors filling those spaces.
I just don't understand why it would take them as long as it does. Is it just because it's always been like that, or do the editors are the editors not editing? Are they doing other things?
Well, they're probably editing
have different job descriptions that don't focus as much on editing. Is that? I mean, I'm not picking on the editors per se, but I mean, my editor does a 24-hour turnaround on 30,000 words. What is? You see what I'm getting at?
Yes, I do.
I just don't understand why it's so long.
I think it's also also the combination of the slow writer. Remember, most folks' first book takes 7 years. Their second book takes 17 months, right? And so they have to take a long time. I know someone who has taken 7 months to write a 5,000-word short story. Hear me, 5,000 words. I know some authors who could have a series done.
Yeah, I know.
in that same amount of time.
How many months did you say?
7 months for 5,000 words.
7 months.
How many words is that a day, X? I mean, seriously.
Well, now, this was a finished work. Well, actually, It isn't finished work because they haven't finished it, but they so far as 7 months, 5,000.
It's about 24 words a day.
Okay, we obviously don't understand these people.
I can do 24 words during a commercial break.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back to the author earnings anyway. From the pie graphs I saw, it doesn't look like we're really competing that much yet against big publishers in terms of print and audio. They still seem to have the market share there, but I guess we're slowly growing.
Right.
Really, aren't we?
Yeah, and I think it shows that for sure. But until we across the world, with the different markets, until all of those are really starting to open up more for indies, like with Draft to Digitals and stuff, and Create Space and stuff like that. But no Canadian author can get into the ACX and stuff like that. So for audiobook production, when it starts getting to that point that those resources are even more out there, like how with ebooks, it's already out there. Once those resources are out there, then we're going to be really seeing a dip in those pie charts.
And then not only that, but print. A lot of independent publishers are not going into print because, well, ebooks are easier to do. Easier to do a quality job.
I've been asked to do a print book myself by a reader. I'm like,
and audiobooks? Audiobooks have a large front end investment.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it correctly. Yes. And a lot of the narrators on ACX will not do a profit share. They want to get paid like every other professional, which makes totally good sense. So that prohibits a lot of independent publishers going into audiobooks. But I'm finding that those who do, like I spoke to Chris Fox not too long ago, those who do for the quality work is doing well for them.
I think Danelle's is doing pretty well with the audio as well.
Mm-hmm. And isn't Mina also? Oh, with that luscious narrator that she had for her newest book. It sounded good.
Probably.
And that talent costs money.
Yeah. I found it interesting that one of the arguments put forward by those who are criticizing it is that it's only for Amazon. It doesn't take into account the direct-to-customer sales that the publishers are making. But I'm like, if they can provide that information, maybe then Data Guy and Hugh Howey can, include that in their author earnings. But
when was the last time you went to Simon & Schuster's website to buy a book?
Never.
No, you go to Barnes & Noble?
But there are some publishers that do it, don't they? They're usually the sci-fi ones, right? And I think also the smaller publishers. Yeah,
maybe Tor, or more than likely, if you're buying from Tor, you're most likely buying from the Science Fiction Book of the Month Club.
And there's also Carina Press, which is part of Harlequin, I believe. So.
Yes, but did you really go to their site to get a romance novel? No, you went to the drugstore. Or you got it. No, seriously, you either went to the drugstore or you went to the grocery store as you were getting your groceries, or you were part of the Book of the Month Club for romances as well.
My mom got a Harlequin book in the mail just as a part of a Chatelaine magazine.
What?
My grandmother
just like a mini like Western romance.
Yes. My grandmother
maybe we should just be
in the mail.
Maybe we should be mailing ebooks to people.
I would do that. Patreon, you contribute $10 a month, you get a special edition paperback.
Yeah, and that's what there's a lot more people starting to go that route as well. Like that's, I think, the inevitable next step. With the Patreon, it's you eventually those are going to be the Uber fans. Those are going to be the people that they're going to be buying everything that you put out mindlessly when you put it out. So you might, it's like they're already just like rubbing their hands, just thinking about, I get a bookmark as well.
Or you get some limited edition art. Or you get a private note or some behind the scenes.
Or maybe
a whisper in my ear
or something like that, or something. But just to finish up this topic, I think that they'll never be happy. But it is interesting to note that at the Digital Book World Conference from the 7th to 9th of March in New York, Data Guy will be presenting a keynote presentation that will that we entitled something along the lines of "Outside the Data Box: Taking a Fresh Look at Ebook Sales, the Indie Publishing Market, and a Fast-Changing Publishing Business."
Are they going to be wearing the Black Widow?
I don't know, but we will definitely have to discuss this once it comes out. And because also author earnings will be releasing some similar information at the same time, so we'll be able to get that. So,
is he going to be wearing the white wig like CeeLo or the black mask like Banksy? Are we?
I was picturing more like a Wizard of Oz type of a thing. Do not pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
It'll be like a giant holographic face and a big red curtain.
I am Data Guy.
Yeah. Okay, awesome.
With the fire on the sides. Great.
Okay, well, let's move on to something that made the rounds earlier in the week, and I know it was shared a lot on my Facebook feeds.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Basically, it was saying that this book was banned by the publisher.
Yes.
The author, Nick Cole, recently launched his latest book, Control Alt Revolt, which is a prequel to The End of the World as We Knew It, which was traditionally published by Harper Voyager. Now, Nick claims that a while ago that the reason why he had to publish the book himself is because it was effectively banned by Harper Voyager, and the publisher refused to publish the book based on content that had upset and offended his editor. And Nick claims he was never given a chance to address the issues, and the book was thus removed from production. What do you think, X? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that's just like what we mentioned earlier. That's an example of a real life traditional publishing horror story. You went in with the best intentions, and they approached you with the best intentions, but in the end, it came down to a conflict between. What I was saying earlier, the things that publishers should be really thinking about is their readers and their authors. If they start getting bogged down, that's not really our type of a book. What does that mean in the end? You are in the business of selling things and making money. If you are saying no to something that potentially could be making you money, you're bad at business. So I think for them to start making those decisions before it goes to market is incredibly backwards, because that's what market research is for. So if there are certain subjects that go against your publishing house's standards, because one thing is taboo or whatever, I really think that should be brought into question. Who are you trying to sell to? The audience or yourselves? Because you already bought into it. You're already sold. You got the author in your office already.
Yeah. Just to provide a bit more information, Nick believes that the content that upset the editor was about abortion, and because this is a science fiction book, speculative fiction essentially. He's not coming out and saying if he's for or against abortion. It is just a part of the story and reasoning why an artificial intelligence might feel threatened, because he may feel that read the article to get the whole information.
Or you can listen to my next point. The thing is, and now, a full disclosure, I am a PCA Presbyterian, right? And they are traditionally, I say pro-birth because, that's not the same as pro-life, because life is from beginning to end, but I digress. They mentioned, according to the article, Nick Cole said that one of the reasons why the artificial intelligence decided to attack human life was because they thought they would be threatened by, they thought that artificial intelligence would be threatened by a species that would end their own if it becomes a threat to them and their livelihood, based on, amongst other things. Now, this wasn't the sole reason, but amongst other things, a reality TV show that was based kind of on Bridezilla's, where the bride aborted a child so it didn't ruin her career.
Or her life, or the life of her
right.
The outcome, prospective groom.
This was and it was mentioned about that was one of the things along with many other things, right? And it was in one chapter.
I think that's a great metaphor.
To give, sorry?
I think that's a great metaphor, though. Like just the idea of, because a child, in the same sense of a robot, is a creation of humanity, and if a robot were to see its creator aborting its own creation, it would feel threatened.
It absolutely would. It is perfectly good logic. And not only that, but the job of science fiction and fantasy is to bring into terms very real characteristics about our human nature and the implications of that into the future. That is what science fiction does, especially speculative science fiction. That's what fantasy does.
Right. Get us also to talk about it as well, which is exactly what we're doing right now.
And not only do I see it not inflammatory, I see it as brilliant as a reason, not as a theology or anything else. It just made perfectly good sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a really interesting topic to be thinking about and to be discussing, and I think he's approached it in a really interesting way. What I think I have problem with the article itself is his word choice. He used the word banned. Now, I can't see how it's been banned because he's been able to self-publish it himself. So obviously there's nothing in his contract that is stopping him from, publishing it elsewhere. If that was the case and he wasn't able to publish it elsewhere, then I could see how it could be banned. But it's just essentially been rejected or denied to be published by the publisher. I think he's been very controversial with his headline choice there.
I think he's using banned because most of the time I saw this on Facebook ads. I think it's bait. No, not belittling anything that's actually going on, because it was kind of foul, and it was not the best move by the publisher or by the editor, because they told him just to totally rewrite it, right? And they gave him no leeway in that. But
they basically wouldn't negotiate or anything like that.
They wouldn't negotiate, but it wasn't necessarily banned. It was just banned as is. And so I think that the article,
not even banned as is, it's just basically denied as is.
And so I think banned by the publisher. What got me banned? I think that's more clickbaity than anything else. Now, if you have it, use it. But
I think he was probably taking something from erotica there, the really, really hardcore erotica that has managed to get itself banned from Amazon. Yeah. They will sell it elsewhere and say banned by Amazon. So hot, Amazon will not sell it. And that's how they approach their marketing. I think he's probably out of there. Now that they can say it's actually been banned, I think.
And really, what is more attractive than something that has been banned? It's like that thing of just like, don't go stealing your parents' liquor from that cabinet. Well, I'll probably be doing that later on tonight. Like it's banned books, and banned movies. These things have a huge market. Whether we admit it or not. It's like the Anarchist's Cookbook. It's one of the most underground books in the entire world. But it's populated all over the place. Just, who actually reads the stupid thing? I don't care. But that's what I mean. There is always going to be a market for things that are banned, and so I think that, like you said, it's clickbait. It's definitely has a draw to it, because if it's like that one erotica book that is just so disgustingly smutty, that you're hearing almost horror stories about it. Just like, whoa, but
is it that bad?
You know what? I'm curious.
Is it that bad?
Can't be that bad.
Is it? And then you're reading them. Oh, it is.
It's worse.
Or it could be, that actually turned me on, but who's going to
I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me.
It is. We don't know exactly when this happened, but it's obviously something that happened last year. But it has been a really good publicity push for him to announce this during his launch, and he's just he's gotten so many people to share his article and his book that maybe we should be looking at what his sales are. Right, let's move along to the last topic here.
Oh my.
Right. So this one's not necessarily. Is it indie at all, or are they both traditionally published? Chrishaun, can you remember?
I believe they're both traditionally published, but what is very interesting to me is just the circumstances around it is worth us talking about.
Okay.
Because here we are, we have someone who has been published since 1989, and someone uses a few words difference in a very, very similar scenario with characters that are very similar within a subgenre that is almost categorized by it. So we have Dark Hunters and Shadow Hunters, and we have on both of them, we have a band of angels or a band of somebody fighting
can I
against
just stop you
demons.
there and we'll go back and we'll read the introduction so people know
please.
what the fuck we're talking about. But excuse me. So Sherilyn Kenyon is suing Cassandra Clare for copyright infringement and loss of profits. So Clare, according to the complaint that's been filed in court, in writing the Mortal Instruments in the Shadowhunter series, knowingly and willfully copied the Dark Hunter series, which Kenyon wrote, and original elements therein to create a work or works substantially similar to the derivative of the Dark Hunter series, stating that the literary components are fictional and in many respects the elements are virtually identical. So, Chrishaun, please continue.
Sure. Honestly, paranormal is always urban paranormal, contemporary paranormal is usually somebody or some group fighting to keep demons out of a specific location. Honestly. Every single one. I think there may have been a difference when someone was looking for kids, but still kids away from demons, right? Or out of hell, right? It's very similar. But when I was looking over the deposition, they said that at one point it was so similar. Actually, she had to be told first to stop using the actual words Dark Hunter, Were Hunter, Wolf Hunter, and all of those. Then let me find it. Number 13 under the allegations filed said the Dark Hunter series and Shadow Hunter series are so similar that Claire's own publisher mistakenly printed 100,000 copies of a Shadow Hunter book referencing the Dark Hunter mark on the cover. So it looks like she was using the marks, Dark Hunter, actually in the words Dark Hunter, that's what a mark means, and characters and situations like the stepfather and everything that was so close that you could go from one to the other and think you're reading within the same series.
Okay, but is there any actual plagiarism here? Is anything being lifted out? Same text, same dialogue, anything like that?
They're mentioning Dark Hunter. Let me find that list again because they listed it.
Yeah, there's a tattoo parlor, and then there was runes and some sort of a sword embedded with magical powers that glows. Yeah,
likewise of young half angels warriors locked in an ancient battle to protect our world from demons, which actually is pulled from the Dark Hunter series, not the Shadow Hunters. And they're also let me find her list of marks here. She actually listed the list of marks. Dark Hunter, Hell Chasers, Hell Hunter, Were Hunter, Dream Hunter, Dark Hunter. Hold on.
Is there a vampire slayer in there? Because we got to get Buffy in there somehow.
Right? No. And then the logo were so close. If you look here, the Shadow Hunter, there's an illustration. If you look at the deposition where the Dark Hunter logo has the same swirl on the top and same crescent bottom, and the Shadow Hunter is the graffiti version of it.
Is that actually their mark, though? Because I've been reading in places that the actual mark has two bows, like bows and arrows on them. But the mark that they're actually talking about is some character-specific logo.
It's in the deposition. It's second, third in our pre-show notes. And if you go down to the actual allegations in section, the factual allegations, and that section 18, you'll see how close they are.
Hmm. So what are your thoughts on this one, X?
My initial thought was, as far as what you're saying, like urban fantasy, paranormal romance fantasy, or they all fall under the same norms, and pretty much all of them have a strong or off the top weak female protagonist, and then she figures herself out in the end by harnessing her magical powers and believing in herself, and I'm a beautiful woman. and I don't know, like there's it's so
many common tropes and character types we made.
Exactly, that it's obvious that that's what the story would be, because that's the genre, and that's so as far as and like you said, a group of people with enchanted powers that are the secret guardians or defenders of this universe that no one knows about. That's every urban yes. It's it's the Dresden Files. It's all the stuff.
Something from Night Side. It's Chris Fox.
Yeah,
too. Monster Hunter.
Yes, exactly.
It's all of them.
Yeah. So on the surface, I was like, okay, yes. Well, good luck not having somewhat plagiarism when you are going with that niche category, but also with the amount of that's in there of the. When there's actual physical descriptions of things that correlate between the books and the marketing behind it, like the sigils and stuff like you were mentioning, obviously that's done on purpose. That's done knowingly that there's already something potentially that's selling, and then trying at least to mimic it closely. It's like the film company Asylum. They're the company that puts out Transmorphers the week that Transformers comes out. They know what they're doing, but they do as good of a job of making sure that only the cover looks the same.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that the meat inside, the contents of the book is its own beast. Otherwise, you're going to get into this kind of trouble, And so on the outside, every urban fantasy, paranormal fantasy, most of those will have a very similar cover. Girl turned some sort of arcane power, and she's like looking at it, or maybe she's looking at the towards the audience. Who knows? But
it's shot. But yeah.
Right. Oh yeah, exactly. It's always half turned, like sitcom style. Like, hello.
They're always like this.
Yeah.
Or they're like.
Yeah. What's that? A camera? So it's very easy to fall into those same tropes and because you are going to be marketing to that market, and you're going to be trying to go within those same aesthetic tropes as much as it is story tropes as well. So you're going to be marketing pretty much the exact same as those other guys anyways. So if you're going to be doing that, probably do a double check that whatever it is that you're actually writing about is original, even though probably the cover is.
Okay, but the thing that I find very interesting is all of this is coming down when Claire now has a movie deal and a show deal on Netflix.
Yeah, well, the TV show is already out. She's basically said that it's been 10 years since the books have debuted, and why now?
Right. Oh, because you got a TV deal.
Because she's suing for lost profits, isn't she, as well? But and she's excuse me. But Cassandra Clare's recently just announced her response and basically saying it's pretty much baseless and wanting to know why she's doing this now when it's been out for 10 years. Why has this suddenly become an issue? But another thing that comes up is that they're saying that she doesn't understand how copyright law works, because they're saying that the law does not protect ideas and myths. It protects only the expression of those ideas. And a lot of people have pointed out that I mean, there's things in there like, is there something like the Nephilim or something, which is something that's in the Bible? And there's also other things that are other myths as well. It just, yeah, like we've said before, there's a lot of stuff that's been just pulled from the mythology as well. And if that's the case of copyright law infringement or whatever, then there's going to be a hell of a lot more books and shows that'll be after copyright infringement.
Well, yeah, likewise, was Rick Riordan, the guy that wrote the Percy Jackson books, was he approached by the people that are like the archaeologists that have uncovered a bunch of the Greek stuff? Like, is a pantheon of myths or gods, is that copyright?
Did Percy Jackson get sue Neil Gaiman?
Yeah, for American Gods. Yeah,
exactly. Claire's statement says that, you would see a difference between her YA and the more adult Sherilyn Kenyon's work. The Percy Jackson and Neil Gaiman were within the same genre. Do you see them? No.
No, because they're very different books, but with very similar presence. Gods are real, and deal with it.
Also, just a bit of a background information. Cassandra Clare, early on in her career, when she started writing, she was known in fan fiction circles, and she was also known back then for a lot of plagiarism and copyright infringement.
Okay, all right. Starting to make more sense.
The wondering is once she became legitimate as a writer, did she clean up her act, or is she sort of going back in and taking from
No, she didn't clean up her act. Jamie was asking in the comments, when did Karen know that this was happening? Keenan know this is happening. According to court documents, they had known this for years.
There's apparently some reference to agreement, but the agreement that was made between the two authors, but the agreement hasn't actually been submitted as evidence, has it?
Right. It has not been submitted for evidence, but how long did he know? You know, years ago, right?
So why hasn't that agreement been submitted as evidence then? That's interesting as well.
And why is this now coming out? Because Claire got a deal.
Yeah, on top of the book deal, now it's a Netflix deal as well, right?
Yeah. I'll say with the TV show from is it isn't it in Netflix?
The TV show.
Yeah, the Shadow Hunters. I've seen it on. Yeah, so there you go.
Stop watching it, Derek.
Oh, it looks horrible.
Yeah, fans of the series have said it's basically just info dump after info dump after info dump. They could have done this so much better, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that not my audience. I'm not their target market for that book for sure, or for that series. But I think that might have something to do with it. The fact that now it's not even a question of who's selling more books and who copied who. It's like who's more successful in the long run. Because if this original series came out and they didn't get the that approach for the deal, that would sting even more, because like not only is this person kind of wrote the same book as me, and I've had to deal with the fact that she's kind of outranking me as an author, but now she's also got this extra deal offered to her, where she's making me look like even less of an original author in that sense.
She got a better agent.
So it's a sense of pride and ego here.
I would imagine so.
Okay, so just quickly, we've gone way over time, but do we think that Sherilyn Kenyon has a leg to stand on with this case? Yes or no?
Not now. 5 years ago, yes. Not now. She looks like sour grapes. She looks mad now.
Yeah, exactly. I think there was a time when it probably would have been better for her to do that, but now it's it's getting more distasteful the longer that she waited on. So it's hard to come out the hero on that case when it's 10 years late. It's like a cold case at this point.
Is there a statute of limitation on copyright law?
75 years plus something, but no, she looks more sour grapes than anything else.
Yeah, and I hope that some sort of middle ground can be made found at some point, between this, because it is very ridiculous, and obviously a lot of money and time is being spent up on stuff like this. So I do hope that in some way the original author is compensated in some way, at least for the time spent of now this is a part of her life, So
Be
who knows?
interesting to see where it goes, and I guess we'll be discussing it once it actually does, if it actually does go.
Yeah. Oh, it will, and we will be discussing it.
Okay, well, thank you very much to Chrishaun and to X for coming in today.
Thank you.
And also to our live audience, if you're not watching this live, or if you just want more information on us, as well as the links in the show notes, they'll be available tomorrow at noon EST on the website selfpublishingroundtable.com. Thank you all. See you next week.